Hello everyone! We are going to present the article Circular Business Models in Automotive Industry, a Systematic Literature Review. The authors are Adriana Marotti de Mello and Mateus de Jesus da Ressurreição. Both are from the School of Economics, Business and Accounting from the University of São Paulo, FEA-USP. Adriana is an associate professor and Mateus is an undergraduate student. And this is our work in progress. This is the agenda for our presentation. First, we would like to make the introduction, bringing our research question and the contextualization of the problem. Then, a definition of what circular business models are. Then, to present our method, our results, an illustrative case, and bring some insights and directions for future research. Circular economy and circular business models have been gaining academic attention in the last decade. Here on the right, you can see a graphic presenting the growth that we can see in the last decade in the number of publications just in the Scopus database. Both circular economy and circular business models have been increasing in the last decade. But still, there is a lack of studies focusing on circular economy applied to automotive industry. Most of the academic, public policies and managerial attention regarding sustainability in auto industry focus on impacts of the use of vehicles, especially regarding emissions, fuel consumption, and mobility. And there are few studies focusing on the environmental and social impacts from new vehicles. Despite the fact that those impacts, especially regarding production and end-of-life vehicles depositions, are on the rise. An auto is made from different materials, from plastic, glass, fabric, aluminum, tires, batteries, steel. This variety of materials make it harder to make a correct deposition of end-of-life vehicles. Regarding the impacts of the consumption of raw materials, we can say that approximately 900 kilos of steel are necessary to produce a single car. And at about 12% of the global steel production are directed only for vehicles, for personal use vehicles. An estimation of 8 million tons of steel just in the last year were directed to the auto industry. The current business model in auto industry is based on the model of take, make, and waste. We can see there is a little or almost any preoccupation of circular economy, of using of recycled materials and different business models that encourage the creation of value from end-of-life vehicles. Nevertheless, the life cycle of a car is quite long, an average of 12 years or 320,000 kilometers. But in this period, normally in average, a car has 3 or 4 owners. And this is a growing problem, especially in Global South, due to lack of policies in those countries and the fact that many countries in Global South are the destination from end-of-life vehicles from developed countries. For example, used cars from the US are exported to other countries like Mexico or other countries in Latin America. So these facts motivated our study, and our research question is, how are circular business models characterized in the auto industry? We aim to contribute to literature advancing the frontier of knowledge regarding relationship between circular business models applied to the auto industry, identifying potential barriers and/or drivers, and identifying possible research streams. In order to achieve this goal, we conducted a systematic literature review and also we brought an illustrative case. A circular business model can be defined as the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value to close and slow material loops. We based this definition from the article of Bocken et al. From 2018. Here on the left, we can see a representation of the circular business experiment cycle that Bocken and other authors brought in this article, where we can see the creation, the delivery, and the capture of value, both considering sustainability and life cycle assessment as important features of this kind of business model. A circular business model could be also associated to reverse and closed-loop supply chains that are associated with restorative models that include several processes and activities to recover value from post-consumption products and parts. Here on the right, we can see a representation of the forward supply chain from raw material through manufacturing, the distribution, retailer, and the consumer. And then the reverse supply chain with different processes and activities aiming to recover volume from end-of-life products, like reusing, repairing, refurbishing, remanufacturing, and recycling. We adopted a systematic literature review as the main research method in this study. We conducted two different researches. The first one about circular business models. We researched both Web of Science and Scopus databases, looking for articles about circular business models and circular economy. And then we refined our research aiming at articles that addressed auto industry and circular economy or circular business models. We conducted this research in the Web of Science and Scopus database as well. And as we were predicting, we found a sample of 20 articles, very few articles among a larger sample of articles about circular business models and circular economy in general. That addresses auto industry, we found those 20 articles. And among those 20 articles, after careful reading of the articles, we can say that only 3 are related to circular business models and auto industry. This is the keywords network that were generated by Voss Viewer, and we can see that in those articles, those 20 articles, we can see a strong relationship among circular economy and recycling specifically. That recycling is only one of the possibilities of value recovery in the reverse supply chains. That's why we need to deepen the study of different alternatives to recover value in reverse cycles in the auto industry. And from those 3 articles that we focused our analysis, we can say that those 3 articles that approach circular business models and auto industry, we found the Agiemang et al. That adopted a qualitative approach with a survey of 112 companies in Pakistan, Agraval et al., a case study in two Indian auto companies using fuzzy topsies approach. This article has a more prescriptive approach, aiming at deliver recommendations for companies. And the third article from Urbinati, Franzo, and Chiaroni, that is a literature review and a survey with 66 auto companies in Italy. As barriers to circular economy auto industry, the three articles found unawareness, cost and financial constraint, lack of expertise, lacking ability to deliver high-quality remanufactured products, maintaining design of reused products, lack of awareness in society, lack of consumer knowledge, and low returned product quantity and quality, and also a weak IP regime. For drivers to see in auto industry, AGMANG found that profitability and market share, cost reduction, and business principles. Urbinati, Franz, and Chiaroni found that management environmental awareness could be a very important driver to adoption of circular economy business models in auto industry. So, to complement this research, as we found very few articles regarding circular business models, we also did an illustrative case. We researched the case of Renova Ecopeças in São Paulo, Brazil, as an interesting case to illustrate how a circular business model could be implemented in auto industry. Renova Ecopeças is a company that aims at dismantling, parts recovery, and correct material disposal, as recycling, treating, or incineration of end-of-life vehicles. Renova, this company, is an initiative of Porto Seguro. Porto Seguro is one of the largest insurance companies in Brazil. They have approximately 30% of market share of insurance in Brazil. The value proposition of this company is the sale of used parts for aftermarket, for repairing autos. This aftermarket, the market for aftermarket parts in Brazil is estimated in $20 billion a year, and it's dominated by OEMs and aftermarket parts producers. The value creation comes from wrecked cars. In the period of 2019 to 2022, there was a five-fold growth in the revenue for this company that grew an average rate of 104% per year. In the state of São Paulo, there was what's so-called Lei do Desmonte, or dismantling law, from 2014. This law created a label used to identify parts from dismantled autos, inhibiting the illegal dismantling. With this law, we saw in São Paulo in the last 8 years a 30% reduction of car thefts only in the state of São Paulo. And this law really was a driver for the company to create this Renova Ecopeças. The process in Renova Ecopeças is quite simple. They receive the car, process a document check and regularization, so the car is classified as wrecked in the DETRAN system. DETRAN is the motor vehicle authority in the state of São Paulo. Then they remove all the hazardous materials and decontaminate the car. And so they remove hazardous materials, store them, and destine them to recycling or incineration. Then starts the dismantling the vehicle for finding for usable or recycled parts. Body parts like door, glass, internal and external trim, mechanical parts, electronic, and engine are dismantled. And then they are classified for selling what is reusable, for remanufacturing, refurbishing, or recycling. And all the parts are traceable through the QR code to the DETRAN system to guarantee the origin of the legal origin of the parts. So with this case, and with both from these illustrative cases and from the literature, we had some insights. As I said before, this is an ongoing project. We are still trying to find another sources of articles and works, and we are also trying to find other cases, and we are trying to interview other relevant actors in this reverse circular business model. But what we can say, that market for used cars and used parts is relevant and it's growing, especially in global south countries. And most of this market is informal and fringe. What we can say is a gray area. There's a lot of informal and illegal as well businesses. But it's a huge market and it's growing. In Brazil, for example, for each new car, 6 used cars are sold in average in 2021. This is our data from the National Association of Cars Sellers. And regarding this reverse cycle and circular business models, there are almost no relationship with the traditional OEMs in the sector. There's an exception of one OEM operating in Brazil that we cannot reveal the name. This OEM is negotiating with Renova Ecopeças the supply of parts for our aftermarket, but it occurred only because of the shortage and the problems in supply chains for parts that we are experiencing those days. OEMs tend to see used cars and used parts as predatory competition. Supply chain crisis is an opportunity to Renova Ecopeças and other players as well to establish regular circular business models. The main barriers that we can identify, both from this case and from the literature, is the lack of regulation. Bureaucracy and corruption inhibits the correct destination of wrecked vehicles, especially in Global South. We have concerns over the quality of these used parts. And of course, taxes. In Brazil is very important for the Renova Ecopeças, this problem with tax. And the main drivers, the price, of course, for these used parts and for used autos is very attractive. The supply chain crisis as well, and environmental awareness. For directions for future research, as I said, we are going to deepen our content analysis and also to conduct different case studies and other relevant players in the circular business models. We would like to thank you all for the attention and we hope that we can receive contributions from the audience here. Thank you very much.